Hey, Grizz TCG here, and today I thought I'd do something a bit different. I thought I'd make a video about how to play the Pokemon TCG, just because I do it in real life with helping with learn to play sessions at my local game store, so I thought I might as well do a video on it just so I can get this out to other people who don't know, who I won't be able to teach and stuff. And for those who clicked on this video, well, obviously you, because you're watching it right now, I'd like to thank you for choosing this one out of all the other ones that are online, or on YouTube or whatever, so yeah, thanks to them. Before we start, I just want to say, sorry about the weird glitching stuff on the playmat. Apparently my webcam has a built-in green screen type thing, so yeah, anyway. That said though, let's actually get into the video. Alright, so the first thing we should do is probably start with the setup. So what you do is you draw the top 7 cards of your deck, and then check to see if you have any basic Pokemon, which I don't. So the way you do that is in the top left corner here. There we go. It would say if it's a basic, stage 1, or stage 2, or in this case V or V Max. But yeah, I don't think, or V Star actually as well. But I'll show you one if I find that. But in the next hand. But basically what you do is if you have no basics in your hand, you then shuffle the hand back into the deck. Before you do, you obviously gotta show your opponent what you have in your hand before you then shuffle it back in, and then they get to draw 1 extra card when they start the game, pretty much, or before the end of the setup. I can't remember which one, but yeah, anyway. Get the next 7. Oh, that's not looking too great. Okay, got another mulligan. So I guess I'll just cut until we get at least 1 basic Pokemon. Alright, hopefully. There we go. Alright. So we now have 2 basic Pokemon, if you can see that. God, that camera's really weird. Stupid green screen thing. Alright. So we have 2 basic Pokemon here. So I have Mareep here, as you can see there with behind all the glitching stuff. There's basic there, and then basic with the Arceus there. So what you do is you put you have to put 1 basic in the active spot. I can't talk. Active spot, which is here, where the shaman face is, I guess. I'm gonna probably put Mareep up in front, and you gotta put it face down, so that when you start the game, you flip it over and such, and then your opponent doesn't know what you're putting down exactly. And then any other basics you want to put down, you put them on the bench, and you have a maximum. You can put down a maximum of 5 on the bench, so you have 6 Pokemon play like the games and stuff if you played them. All right, so now you've done that, you get the top 6 of your deck. Don't look at them. Put them down on the side here, and they're your prize cards. So the way those work is if you knock out a Pokemon, you then take a certain number of prize cards depending on what the Pokemon is you knocked out. So let's just go back to Arceus here. Normally you'll get 1 prize card for a knockout, but stuff like this, down the bottom here has the V rule. Okay, apparently you can't read that. But it says when your Pokemon V is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prize cards. So yeah, I think the same thing for V Stars, and then V Maxes you take 3, and the same for V Unions, which you probably don't have to worry about because those are pretty rare. But yeah. Anyway, now that's done, and assuming your opponent's set up and everything. So let's just say you go first, I guess. So you flip over your Pokemon you start off with, and every turn. At the start of every turn, draw a card. That's the first thing you need to do. And then, looking at our hand, we have 2 different types of energy here. We have basic lightning. I just call it electric because that's just what it is in the games, I guess. I'm used to it. And then double turbo energy, which is a special energy. Now, you can have a maximum of 4 of any card, I should probably mention, of the same name at least, in a deck of 60 cards. And then basic energy can be like as many as you want, as long as it's up to 59, because you have to have a basic Pokemon. But yeah. So basically, when you attach this, let's say you attach to Mareep, that's an electric energy attached to here, and yeah, pretty much it. And then if you want to attach double turbo energy, it says here that as long as this Pokemon, no, as long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides 2 colorless energy. Then it says if the attacks of this Pokemon this card is attached to does 20 less to your opponent's Pokemon. So it means it's basically 2 energies, really, but it's not. It can't be a certain type. It has to be. Well, it can't be any. It can't be any type. But yeah, it's probably mentioned that. Go to Maripia. Has, if you want to do Static Shock, it has 1 electric and 1 colorless for its attack. So the way the colorless works is it can be any type. But oh god, didn't mean to do that. But then double turbo energy, it has to be like you can't change it to a different type or anything when you touch it, which is a bit confusing if you don't really know the game, but it will make more sense if you play the game for a little bit. Then we have tool cards. So these are item cards. You can attach them to a Pokemon like this. You just put it under like basically like an energy. The way you use it, I mean. The retreat cost of this Pokemon this is attached to is 2 less, and you can see in the corner here, the bottom right, not left. The retreat cost of Mareep is 2 colorless, or just 2 energy technically, but yeah. So if you attach that, it means you can retrieve it for free, pretty much. And the way retreating works is you, like I said, you have to have a certain amount of energy, so discard the energy that you need, put it to the bench, and put something else into the active spot, pretty much. Let's see, then we have a Quick Ball, where it's another item, so you can use as many as you want. Like it actually says it in the corner, actually, or not the corner, the bottom. So it says you have to discard the card to be able to play it, and then you search your deck for a basic Pokemon and reveal it and put it into your hand. Usually put that onto your bench immediately, the basic gear from it, but especially early game. Yeah, we should probably go back to energy though. You can only attach 1 energy per turn unless you have an effect like an ability or an attack or something that lets you attach more energy. Yeah, and then we have Professor's Research. Alright, so Professor's Research, you can only play 1 supporter per turn, and you can tell if that's a supporter because it says it in the corner here. You can just tell also by the orange text, I guess, on the top and bottom. Well, this isn't really text, but whatever. Anyway, so there's new ruling actually that you can only play supporters on your first turn if you go second, and after that it's fine, but for both players. But basically, whoever goes first on their first turn, they can't play supporters pretty much. And it's the same thing for attacking actually. You can only do it on your second turn. Then past that, then it's fine. So that said though, so we've drawn for our turn. So looking at the hand here, we can attach an air balloon, and then a double turbo energy to Arceus. So it's able to use its Trinity Charge attack next turn, where you may search deck for 3 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon V in any way you like. So make more sense later, but anyway. Also, probably mentioned, the way attacking works is it has to be in the active spot to be able to actually attack. It can't be on the bench. Looking at what we have here, though, we can use a Quick Ball, and when you want to use a card of some sort from the discard pile, which is just here, just next to your deck like that, and then you have to discard the card, we'll discard an electric energy, and then we may search through our deck. So another good thing to do is to have a look through your deck to see what you've prized. What's in the prize cards, because you won't be able to get access to it until you actually get your prizes, or get out the prizes, I guess. So we're gonna go through and get a Rayquaza V, so we can get that set up with Arceus next turn. Now let's have a look, see if we've prized anything. So we have 1 Ultra Ball in our hand, 1 in here. And there's the third one there. Okay, so we have 3 in here. I believe there's 2 Choice Bell in here, which is another tool card, in case you're wondering, which does 30 more damage to your opponent's V. Yeah, we do have 2 in here as well. Okay, not entirely sure what I've prized exactly, but I guess we'll find out. We haven't. It looks like we haven't prized anything super important, so that's very nice. So yeah. Anyway, with that said, get the V out, and then shuffle. Alright, so we've got these two. And that's everything we can do now. So we'll pass our turn, and then your opponent does stuff. Then it's our turn again. Draw a card. Let's see, so we can use... Alright, I think we'll use a research here. So discard our hand and draw 7. Alright, so we got a Rayquaza VMAX. So how evolving works is you put it on top of the Pokemon it evolves from. You can see in the corner here, it says that it's, you can, a bit hard to read here, but it says it evolves from Rayquaza V, which is what this is. So put the VMAX on top. And then looking on the hand, we have a choice belt. So you can attach this to Arceus. And then, now we can use Azure Pulse. So it's Rayquaza VMAX's ability, which reads, once during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 3 cards. So we'll do that. Alright, so we can then use an Ultra Ball to then discard 2 cards from our hands and then search our deck for a Pokemon. We're going to get an Arceus V-Star. And then we are then going to use the V-Star power, which I'll get to in a sec. I just gotta go get my V-Star marker. Okay, so I've got a custom one, I guess, just with my YouTube stuff, I guess, and my favorite Pokemon. But from some booster packs, you can just get this card that's in replacement of an energy. I guess you can use that as the V-Star marker as well. So what you do is the Starbirth. For the V-Star power, you may, during the turn, you may search deck for up to 2 cards, put them into your hand. And when you want to use a V-Star power, you flip V-Star marker over, pretty much. So then with that, we're going to go get an Electric Energy, and then Flaffy, and evolve them, and then attach the energy to Arceus. Then what we can do is, because, well, we have no hand now because we kind of thinned it out and stuff with Ultra Ball and such earlier, but we would retreat for free into Arceus V-Star, and we have 1 electric and 1 double turbo, which counts as 3 energy total. And then with Trinity Nova, has for 3 colorless, so 3 of any type of energy. It does 200 damage, which is a lot, and then you search your deck for up to 3 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon V, any way you like. So the same thing as Trinity Charge, but with 1 extra energy cost, and then it does 200 damage instead of doing nothing. So we're going to do that. We would then search for, in this case, 1 fire and 2 electric. Because if you look at Rayquaza VMAX, it has 1 fire, 1 electric, but it does... We'll get to the attack later in this case, but let's attach them to Rayquaza. And then let's say we get a knockout from doing 200 damage, or 180, because the minus 20 from double turbo. Let's say we get a knockout. we take a prize card, and it's a Stormy Mountains. Alright, so that thing goes into our hand. So let's say let's just to our next turn, get boss's orders from our drawer. So what we can do then is we can check to see what's in our discard. There we go, there's an energy. So we can, this is a way you can also get more energy into play. You can use Dynamotor. So it reads, once during your turn you may attach an electric energy. So this one, you can see the symbol's the same. From your discard pile onto one of your bench Pokemon. So it specifies the bench, it can't be the active, so you have to attach it to here. And that doesn't count as your turn attachment, because it was an ability, which is really helpful. So, looking at what we have here, we don't really need these right now, I don't think. So, what we can then do is use a Zero Pulse. So you just cut and draw 3, get a Rayquaza, and we can then attach for our turn, because we haven't done that yet. And then we can retreat, so we can use double turbo energy here. Even though Arceus has a 2 retreat cost, since this counts as 2 energy when it's attached, you can discard it, and then switch into something. Oh, not the mic. Go into Rayquaza. Now it's electric, it doesn't really help, so we don't have to worry about that. And then we can max burst, so what this does, pick everything up, it does for 1 fire, 1 electric, it does 20 base damage, which isn't really that amazing, especially for a VMAX. But then you may discard any number or any amount of basic fire or basic electric from this Pokemon. This attack does 80 more damage for each card you discarded. So normally with this deck you'll want to discard fire energy because you can get them, no, not fire, electric, because you can get them back with Dynamotor. And yeah, that's pretty much it really. But and you'll want to keep the fire because there's only, I think, 3 in this deck. Because you only need it just for the 1 energy cost, and that's it. But in this case, if we discard, let's say you discard 1, we'll keep that there. So you discard 1 energy, that's 100. Discard 2, 180, 260, 340. So let's say we discard 2. So then do 180, which will probably be knockout on many things that aren't V's or anything like that. So we'll take a prize card. It's a fire energy, which is good because we don't have many of those, like I just said. And yeah, that's pretty much how this particular deck works and how you play the game in general. But now that we've done that, let's get into some, I guess, strategies and good things to think about, I guess, when you're in the game. Alright, so with the basics out of the way, let's now talk about positioning. So, let's say you want to set up one of these 2 Rayquazas here. To move this so it's not wonky. You got to figure out what your opponent's going to do next turn. So you want to figure out where you want to put the energy with Trillion Nova. Like from before, you saw me put all the energy onto this VMAX because it was the only thing in play that I could attach it to, for one thing, but also just to show off what the deck mainly does. But so, let's say your opponent is capable of knocking out either one of these next turn if they put into the active with using cards like Boss's Orders, like you saw earlier, or any other thing like that. But to do that, like to fix this, I guess, what you do is when you want to search for a card, well, not search for a card, but when you want to search the energy, you look at what you have in play here, or before you attack at least. Have a look what you have here. So you have 1 fire, 1 electric in play. One of each, just either one or the other on one of the Rayquazas. So what you would do is you have a look at what you have in your deck in terms of basic energy. So we have, obviously most of them are electric, like I mentioned earlier. Alright, so we have 4 electric, 1 fire. So what you would do is you can attach up to 3. So I would suggest to do 1 to here, and then you have 2 left over. So I will then attach 1 to here, and then 1 to either one of these, because then you're in a safe position, I guess, because if your opponent takes a knockout on either one of these, because they have energy on them, let's say the VMAX gets knocked out, you then have this one ready to go, pretty much. Well, not ready to go, but it has energy on it, so it's at least, like, it's nearly ready to go, I guess. It's basically set up, so let's say you put up, after that getting knocked out, you go up to Fluffy, and then you draw a card. So what you can then do is you can Dynamo though onto this Rayquaza, which then has it would have the same amount of energy onto it now, because it now has 2 electric and 1 fire. No, yeah. Anyway, and then what you have here, you have Venture Discovery, which you just go off the top deck, I believe. Also this, I can't remember. Basically use that. So this card lets you search deck for up to 3 of any V. So we'll go for the VMAX and evolve it. And then we can use, I guess, Crobat. And we'll just end it there because I don't need anything else right now. Didn't mean to hit the camera. Alright, so we need, let's see, so we can put Training Court down. So what stadiums do is you basically put it in play, so here or here, just somewhere in like near the middle of both the boards, I guess. And you can only have 1 in play at a time. And let's say your opponent has a stadium in play. Let's say this is your opponent's stadium. What you can do is you can use your stadium to bump it, I guess what we call it. So then their stadium goes in their discard pile. I'm just going to put it over here because obviously there's nothing over there. So put this into play. And then we can use Training Court, which what it does is you can get a basic energy. Like each player can, during their turn, can get basic energy from the discard and put it into the hand. So get this one, then attach for our turn. And then we can not attach any more energy right now. So we can then retreat. And then just go for knockout, I guess, assuming we have enough energy. Which we most likely will. So that's positioning, I guess, in terms of energy attachment and such. Yeah, I guess we'll get into the different types of cards. Alright, so let's get into the type of cards. So we've got the Pokemon, so we should probably start off with basics. So they can go into play basically as soon as you play them, really, as long as you have bench space, I guess. Let's say we put this here and there's something else up there. There's the active. So I put this down. And then in terms of evolving, I didn't really explain this earlier, but like I can do it now. If the basic or whatever's in play, I guess, has been out for at least 1 turn, you can then put the Pokemon that evolves into, on top of it to evolve it, pretty much. And then same goes for Vs, assuming they, like, just that corresponding evolution, I guess. They evolve into V-Stars or V-Maxes. So, yeah, and then also if you have a stage 2, you can then evolve it from the stage 1. I don't have a stage 2 in this deck, so I don't have Ampharos in this case, but because Flaffy's all we really need, because the ability is really good. But yeah, anyway, other Pokemon we have. Oops, I didn't mean to knock the camera. Alright, so then we have supportive Pokemon. So those are mostly attacking Pokemon. We have this. Alright, I got the phone call randomly, but anyway, so in terms of Pokemon, we also have supportive Pokemon. So like the Flaffy, pretty much. We have Crobat, which has the Dark Asset ability, which is when you play it from your hand onto your bench. During your turn, you may discard, draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. So it's very good for draw support. And yeah, that's pretty much it, really. And it also has one Tree Cosmos Shuffle. Then we have Luminion, which is similar idea to Crobat, where you get to do something when you play it onto your bench. So this one, instead of drawing you up to 6, you get to search your deck for a supporter, which is really good in a lot of cases. Yeah, then we have Radiant Greninja. Now, Radiant Pokemon are interesting because you can only have one in a deck. Like, not one Radiant Greninja, like just one Radiant in general. So you gotta choose wisely what Radiant you want to use, assuming you don't have to use Radiant, but if you want to use one, you gotta choose wisely. So what this has is it has concealed cards, so you may discard an energy in order to I can't talk. Enable to use this in order to use this ability. Oh my god. And then you may draw 2 cards. So it's pretty good. Then we have item cards, so you can use as many as you want during your turn. So this one lets you switch it active with one bench. So let's say you have these 2, you then play a switch, you just do that. It's basically retreating, but with an item, pretty much, and you have to discard any energy. Talking about retreating though, we then have Air Balloon, which, like I said earlier, you attach it like that as a tool card, and then you just retreat for free, pretty much. So it's pretty helpful. Then we have supporters. You can only use one of these per turn, and yeah, that's pretty much it. For that, not supporters, stadiums. You put these. You can put one into play. Like I said earlier, the same rules apply, like from what I said earlier with stadiums. But one thing I forgot to mention is that if you have the same stadium in your hands, so same copy. So let's say there's already a training court in play. You're not allowed to play this. You're not allowed to use the training court to then get rid of their training court. It has to be a different stadium, pretty much. Special energy, you can have up to 4 of each type of special energy. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Then energy, you can have as many as you want as long as it doesn't go over 59, I guess, technically. So, yeah. In terms of deck building, though, every single card except not special energy, basic energy, you can have up to 4 of, unless it's specified otherwise, like with Radiance, I guess. Yeah, and then you have a total of 60 cards. Alright, so now let's start with the things you'll need if you want to play the game. So, obviously, aside from 60 cards for a deck, you'll need a coin. You don't necessarily need a coin specifically, but players nowadays use 6-sided dice as as the coin flip type thing. Heathens is heads, yeah. Then odds is tails. About to see with this particular one because it's see-through, but yeah. Along with that, you have to go against special conditions, so like burn, poison, paralysis, sleep, and confusion. We'll go more into that later. Where's the coin still there? But you will need these. Oh my. Okay, the green screen thing's gone a bit off, but the one on the right is green. But these so this particular one, this is burn, and this was poison. So for that, let's say Fluffy got burned, you'll then put this marker on top of it so you can symbolize it's burned. Yeah, we'll go more in depth into special conditions later. And then, aside from that, you'll need a V-Star marker if you have a V-Star in your deck, so you can symbolize if you used your V-Star power or not. And then you also need damage counters. So in this case it's dice. I don't know why these are going like that, because these aren't green. like I don't know, like a blue color more like, but yeah. So these have the amount of damage on them. So let's say Fluffy took 70 damage. We'll then get the 70 damage from a dice and just put on top. That's pretty much it for that. That said, though, let's now get into special conditions. Alright. So let's get into status conditions. So, let's start with burned, I guess. So, let's say this is inactive. What you then do is you put the burn marker on the Pokemon, I guess. And then, in between turns, you then flip a coin. If it's heads, which in this case is tails, but we'll just say it's heads. So, heads, and then your Pokemon is, I guess, it's not burned anymore, pretty much. But then if it's tails, it stays burned, and then it takes 30, I believe. Yeah, 30. Okay, 30 in between turns. It's about to see it there. There you go. Don't know why I want to show that, but yeah. So 30 in between turns if you get tails between that. So move on to poison. So put a poison marker on, and then between turns, no matter what, you take 20. And then for a sleep, then turn your Pokemon to the side, and then in between turns. Sorry, there's a lot of in between turn stuff. Flip a coin. If it's heads, which it is in this case, that was a bad flip, but whatever. Your Pokemon's now awake. Then if it's tails, it stays asleep. And what sleep does is your Pokemon can't attach, not attach. It can't attack or retreat, pretty much. And then we have confusion. So we then put your card upside down, and when you want to attack, then flip a coin. It's heads in this case, so you can attack. But if it's tails, I believe you take 20 damage, or maybe 30. I can't remember exactly. You have to double check on that one. Realistically, I should have done that myself, but don't really have time right now. And then we have paralyzed, so you turn it this side, so this way, to the right. And it means that you can't attack or retreat as well, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, it's pretty simple. And then the way you get rid of paralysis is it stays like that for the entire turn, and then you just go back to normal once you end your turn. So realistically, paralysis is probably the best one. Realistically, but yeah. And then we'll go with probably do this. Okay, so you can also get rid of a status condition. So we'll say it's burned. What you can do, just get this. Alright, so the way you can get rid of special conditions as well is if you use a switch or something like that to then put it onto the bench. It's not burned anymore, because when something has been hit by a status condition, if it moves to the bench, it's back to normal pretty much. It's pretty simple. Same for effects, like it can't attack or something like that from another Pokemon. If it says that it can't attack during the next turn, then if you switch it if you put it onto the bench and put something else up and then switch it back, maybe, or something like that, and then they can still attack pretty much. So that's probably important for decks, I guess, when you're playing. Got have a way of words, don't know. I also forgot to mention that if you want to go into, I guess, events or some sort, or have cards in deck they want to protect, you need to also get some sleeves. So sleeves like this, like I mentioned earlier, they're pretty nice. These particular ones are a new brand. They were $13 for 13 Australian bucks for a pack of 100, which is really good. And these are pretty much just as durable and well shuffled, or good at shuffling, I guess. The same type of feel, I guess, to the more popular brand, which I'm about to show you, and half the price, which is really nice. I don't know if they have them in other states, like anywhere outside of Australia, but yeah. Anyway, we also have these, which are called Dragon Shields. They're pretty much they're, like I said, twice as expensive as the ones I showed you, but these are worldwide, pretty much. So they're probably your best bet if you don't have the ones I just showed you. I should probably mention. These ones, like the brand for these, are called Palms Off Gaming, I think, or Palm Tree Gaming, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but probably search it up and you find it. But these are Dragon Shields. They have a lot more colors than the other ones, but these are gold, these particular ones, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, they're the more well known, I guess, good shuffling sleeves and such. But I should probably mention as well that, more importantly, you need to use sleeves that you can't see the back of the card of, because then if a card has markings or something like that, you would be able to tell. So if you're going to use them for events or anything like that, make sure you get sleeves that aren't see-through or transparent or whatever. Alright, so probably the final thing, probably the most important thing, is getting a deck. So how that works is you can build a deck with existing cards that you already have, or you can use, like, you can go out and buy decks such as a theme deck, which will have come up here somewhere. The Pokemon Company doesn't make them anymore. I believe so. It's not really as helpful, but they're really helpful for starting the game off if you can find them with learning and stuff. Then here we'll have you can get a V battle deck, which is the same thing as the theme deck, but it has one V in it, I guess, that the deck is built around or something similar. And then we have I should probably go for prices actually, no. So the theme deck in Australia goes for about $24, so it's affordable, and probably mentioned that all of these decks come with a coin. I think the new ones come with like bigger coins as well, which is funny. Anyway, they have coins, damage counters, so either bits of cardboard, which I'll show down here, or the dice, like I showed you earlier, if they come with the other products, which I'll talk about in a sec. They also come with a playmat, not like this one. It's like a piece of paper with on the other side. It also shows you the rules, which is helpful. I think the older ones do. I'm not too sure about the newer ones. But they also have like markings like where the active spot is, the bench, prize cards, deck and discard pile, that type of thing. So that's pretty helpful. And yeah, both of them come with it. The next product, Ultimate in the set, comes with everything I just said, but that comes with dice instead of damage counters. And then we have, what was it, the V-Battle deck, which I think goes for maybe 30 Australian dollars. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't bought one, so not entirely sure. Anyway, then we have probably the better value, I would say. It's a lot more expensive, but it has the better cards and stuff. It's the League Battle deck, which I'll have here. Yeah, there you go. There. So a League Battle deck comes with the entire deck. I guess the damage counters, like I said before, with the dice. Those come with the flip dice and like the coin. Oh god, the dice which will work as a coin. Well, that's used as a coin. I'll come with that. This particular one is I should probably mention, is the Ice Rider Calyrex one. If you're curious, but that's probably one of my favorite ones that I can find. They'll come with that. Then they actually come with these particular ones, the metallic poison and bone markers. The ones that will come with the made out of cardboard, which I'll show you next to the damage counters. The same thing. Anyway. The deck itself, though, it has 60 cards like every other deck. I guess I don't know why I mentioned that. But they're actually like competitive decks. So yeah, they're actually really good. The latest ones, which are the two different Calyrex forms, which I'll show as well. They have 3V and 3V max of whichever deck it is. And then the decks before that, the League Battle decks before that, they had 2V and 3V max or whatever it is, or something like that, depending on what the deck is, I guess. But yeah, if assuming that it's not like, aside from the price, I should probably mention is 60 Australian dollars, which is a lot. But aside from the price, I would say it's really worth it, because it's a competitive pre-built deck ready to go for new players, and assuming you can get your head around the deck, which the ones that they've put in this League Battle decks aren't that hard to get around, to be fair. They're probably like really well built and easy to play decks, so it does help. And you can just play in tournaments with those decks and you would probably do pretty well. So yeah. I'm pretty sure that's everything. for the Pokemon TCG. Yeah, I believe so. So, if there's anything I've missed, or any questions you have or anything like that, ask in the comments below. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, and if it helped, like the video, I guess, smash the like button and such, and then also subscribe if you haven't already. It helps me out. And if you want to see more content like this, or just Pokemon content in general, then there you go. Pretty simple. Yeah, with that said though, see ya.